find out using the digital signal processors. Digital signal processors, as I said in the previous class, that may be the digital computer or a general purpose processors used for the purpose of processing the digital signals. So to perform the frequency analysis on the discrete time signal, what is required is we need to convert this discrete time domain signal to convenient frequency domain signal. Now, to convert it into frequency domain signal, we have seen the four Fourier representations in the previous semester of class, how to convert the time domain signal into frequency domain signal. We generally use Fourier transform. For the discrete time non-periodic signal, we use Fourier transform to convert it and to obtain its frequency domain signal or a frequency domain representation. Now, as you have already seen that for a discrete time non-periodic signal, its frequency representation is discrete in nature. See this is what you have seen in the previous semester, the four kind of representation. And if your signal, that is discrete time signal, which is not periodic in nature, and if you find its Fourier representation, its frequency domain signal is continuous in nature. That is, x omega is continuous in nature. Here in signals and system, for the frequency component, we have used the frequency component as ohm, but in this subject, we'll just in place of ohm, we use omega for the discrete frequency. So this particular slide, I have just taken it to just review the four representations which we have concentrated in the previous semester. Okay. So since then, the discrete time signal, when we convert it to frequency domain signal, its frequency domain signal is continuous in nature, and we are analyzing it into by means of processor. It may not be feasible by the processor to process this continuous frequency domain signal, or to perform the computations conveniently on this frequency domain signal. It is not possible by means of processor. So what is required is we need to sample this continuous frequency domain signal, that is x omega, which is obtained by taking the Fourier transform of xn, which is not periodic in nature. So xn, which is not periodic in nature, when you take the Fourier transform of it, you obtain x omega, which is continuous in nature, and it is not feasible to process conveniently this x omega by means of processor. So therefore it is required that we should sample it and then process it. So in this class we are going to concentrate on how to perform the sampling of this frequency domain signal and reconstruct the discrete time signal from this frequency domain signal. Okay. So the Fourier transform of discrete time or periodic signal is represented by this equation. I have just modified the previous slide equation by simply replacing ohm by omega and rewritten here the formula for obtaining the Fourier transform of discrete time signal, that is dt of t. So x omega is equal to summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity xn into e raised to minus j omega n. Here this omega is a frequency component. Suppose that we sample x omega periodically in frequency domain at a spacing of delta omega between two successive samples. Now, what do we mean by sampling? Sampling is nothing but dividing a particular signal into number of samples in one period. So, consider that in one period, if we divide this x of omega into number of samples by considering a spacing between two successive samples by delta of omega. Now, since x of omega is periodic with the period of 2 pi, we only consider the samples in this period from 0 to 2 pi to sample this. So, this 0 to 2 pi period, this period is sampled, and then it may be then continued for the rest of the periods also. So, we analyze for one period from 0 to 2 pi here. So, for convenience, take n equidistant samples in this interval of 0 to 2 pi with the spacing of delta omega, and this delta of omega is 2 pi by n. So, this overall period 0 to 2 pi, we want to divide it into n equally spaced points, and when you divide it into n equally spaced points, then the distance between two successive samples becomes 2 pi by n. So, the delta omega, the distance or the spacing between the two successive samples becomes 2 pi by n. So, then we replace omega in the expression of dtft by omega k. Now, what is omega k? Omega k is equal to 2 pi k by n. Now, when k is equal to 0, you get the initial sample. When k is equal to 1, you get the first spacing. For k is equal to 2, you get the second spacing. And for n minus 1, you get the nth spacing. Likewise, you divide this entire interval 2 pi into n different spacings. Now, consider this frequency response of a discrete time signal which is continuous in nature, x of e raised to j omega. And if I consider x of n for a finite duration of time, that is, I am multiplying xn with some window function to consider only a limited number of samples of xn. And if such windows frequency domain signal, if you plot, then the frequency response of such a window function, then when you multiply xn with some window function in time domain, in frequency domain it is a convolution between the two. So, multiplication in time domain is a convolution in the frequency domain, and when you convolve these two, you get such kind of convolution, and the windowed and sampled Fourier transform of such signal then looks like this. And when you space this look like this, and if you have the interval 0 to 2 pi interval, and if this 0 to 2 pi interval, if you divide into n number of points, then the spacing between two successive points becomes 2 pi by n. So, when you say that omega k is equal to 2 pi k by n, and when k is equal to 0, this is the first sample. When k is equal to 1, this second sample. 2, this is this is the third sample, fourth sample. Likewise, at when n minus 1 k is equal to, you substitute, you get this last sample here, you get this sample, and at n, the sample at 0 will repeat. And this frequency domain signal x of omega, as you say, is seen that it is periodic in nature with the period of 2 pi. So, this whatever the samples you have in the duration 0 to 2 pi, these samples will repeat from 2 pi to 3 pi, 3 pi to 4 pi, and so on. Now, analyzing it mathematically. So, replacing omega k with 2 pi k by n in the expression of Fourier transform. What was the Fourier transform equation? X omega is equal to summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity xn into e raised to minus j omega n. Now, omega, I am replacing it with omega k. What is the omega k? Omega k is equal to 2 pi k by n. So, here in this expression, replacing omega k with 2 pi k by n. So, the equation becomes summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity xn into e raised to minus j 2 pi k by n, capital N, into this small n. Now this omega k is 2 pi k by n, so I can also write this equation as x of 2 pi k by n is equal to summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity xn e raised to minus j 2 pi k small n by capital N. Now this entire summation can be divided into infinite number of summation with n terms in each summation. So understand what I am doing here. This summation duration is for the infinite duration. N is varying from minus infinity to plus infinity. N takes on the values from minus infinity to plus infinity. And this entire summation duration we are divided into smaller summations, and each size of each summation is equal to capital N. So rewriting this equation as it is equal to summation n from minus n to minus 1 total n number of samples, and these are same terms xn e raised to minus j 2 pi k by n summation n from 0 to n minus 1 n number of samples xn into e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into this small n summation n from capital N to 2n minus 1 total n number of samples, and the same term xn into e raised to minus j 2 pi k into small n by capital N, and so on. The next term here, this side, it will become 2n to 3n minus 1. Similarly, this up to this is extended to the negative side also. To the negative side, you will be getting this from minus 2n to minus of n minus 1. Likewise, so from minus infinity to small plus infinity, there are infinite number of summations you will get in the expression, and each smaller summation consists of n number of samples. Remember that this entire infinite duration summation is divided into smaller number of summations, and each of these summation consists of n number of terms. Now I will just rewrite this infinite number of summations where I will add another variable of L, where summation L varying from minus infinity to plus infinity. You observe here that n is equal to ln, this capital N, to ln plus n minus 1 x of n e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into n. Now when this L is equal to 0, at the time you observe here this summation will be varying from 0 to n minus 1, you get this part. When this L is equal to minus 1, at that time this inside summation, it will be varying from minus n to minus 1. Is it not? Then you will get this term of the expression. When this L is equal to plus 1, this will be varying from n to 2n minus 1, and you get this part of the summation. Likewise, all the infinite smaller summation can be expressed by this expression. The summation L from minus infinity to plus infinity, summation n from ln to ln plus n minus 1, xn into e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into n. Now, in the second part, replace this small n by n minus L into capital N. The inside or whatever the summation sign you have there, which is varying with respect to n, there we are replacing n with n minus ln. Now when you replace n by n minus ln, so just go back and see the variation of summation here. When I replace here n by n minus ln, this n is varying from ln to ln plus n minus 1. And when I replace n with n minus ln, then when previously it was starting with ln, so after replacing, that will start from 0 and end at n minus 1, and every n in the expression is replaced by n minus ln. So this n also was replaced with n minus ln, and this minus sign and this minus ln becomes here plus. So this is e raised to j 2 pi k by n ln. If you combine this, and you may observe here that this is nothing but n minus ln, and this exponential term is separated here. Now you observe this n and this n, if you cancel out, you remain with e raised to j 2 pi k l. What is the value of this term? E raised to j 2 pi k l. the mathematical value of it, you observe that is value of that is equal to 1. So rewriting the equation and interchanging the order of the summation here, cancelling out this term and interchanging the order of the summation here. Because this term that is not a variable of L and that is variable in N, and this is the only term which is variable in L, so we can easily interchange this order of the summation and rewrite the equation as summation n from 0 to n minus 1, summation L from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n minus ln to e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into small n. This is what we got. So this is infinite duration signal xn, which is divided into smaller subsequences, and each smaller subsequence consists of n number of points in it. This is what this summation represents. Now let us define this summation as xp of n, which is equal to summation L from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n minus Ln. What is this xp of n? Xp of n is the periodic extension of a signal xn, which consists of n number of points. Xp of n is considered as a periodic extension of signal xn for every n sample. So what do we mean by this periodic extension of xn? So I have a signal xn which is a finite duration signal and in which number of samples are less than capital N, and if I consider that such a signal xn whose number of samples are less than capital N, and if I take the periodic extension of that for every sample of n, that means I am repeating xn for every interval of capital N and resketch or obtain the periodic extension of such a signal xn, which is represented by xp of n. So replacing xn with xp of n in the expression, therefore x of 2 pi k by n is equal to summation n from 0 to capital N minus 1 xp of n e raised to minus j 2 pi k by n small n, where xp of n can be expanded using the Fourier series because xp of n is a periodic signal. From where you got this xp of n? Xp of n is a periodic extension of x of n whose length of x of n is less than capital N, and this x of n is periodically extended to obtain xp of n. And only samples of xp of n from 0 to n minus 1 are considered in this. Xp of n can be expanded using Fourier series because xp of n is a periodic signal. So the Fourier series representation of such a periodic signal xp of n by DTFS expression, you can see that it is represented by xp of n is equal to summation k from 0 to n minus 1 ck e raised to j 2 pi k by capital N into n, where ck represents the Fourier series coefficients of xp of n. And the inverse DTFS coefficients can be expressed by the expression as ck is equal to 1 by n summation n from 0 to n minus 1. Now this should be xp of n. xp of n e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into small n. Now if you observe these two expression, this part, if I say this is xp of n, this is nothing but this part is x of 2 pi k by n in this expression of ck. The expression of ck, this part summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xp of n e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into n. I was supposed to write this as xp of n. This is xp of n only. Okay. So I can just replace this part here, which is here x of 2 pi k by n. Then you get the relationship between the DTFS and this sample Fourier transform as Ck is equal to 1 by capital N x of 2 pi k by n. Now Ck is equal to 1 by n x of 2 pi k by n and xp of n, which is equal to summation k from 0 to n minus 1 Ck e raised to j 2 pi k by n into n. This is by the expression of DTFS. Now substituting for Ck in expression of xp of n. This is expression of xp of n and this is Ck. So substituting this expression in this expression of DTFS. So for Ck, we are substituting in this expression of xp of n. What is Ck? Ck is 1 by n x of 2 pi k by n. So after substitution, we are getting here as xp of n is equal to 1 by capital N here. This should be capital N. Summation k from 0 to n minus 1 x of 2 pi k by n e raised to j 2 pi k by capital N into small n. So I'll just correct that by using the pointer. This is not the small n, this is the capital N that I was supposed to take. I was supposed to take the capital N here. Okay. So xp of n now becomes equal to 1 by n summation k from 0 to n minus 1 x of 2 pi k by n e raised to j 2 pi k by capital N into small n. This relationship gives the reconstruction of the periodic signal xp of n from x omega. X omega, which is sampled. If you sample x omega, then from that x omega, if you reconstruct the signal, its reconstruction is also periodic, that is xp of n. Now from that to recover xn, since xp of n is periodic extension of xn can be recovered from this xp of n by simply considering the sample, n number of samples from xp of n, where n is, small n is varying from 0 to n minus 1. Now this is possible only if the capital N, the length of the this subsampling, that is number of samples we have used to subsample this x of omega, if this length capital N, if this is larger than the length of the signal x of n, then only it is possible to recover. Otherwise, what will happen is there will be aliasing take place. The samples of xp of n will overlap. So this there will be no aliasing only if the capital N is larger than the length of the sequence xn. If you consider the length of sequence xn is capital L, if L is smaller than capital N, then only there will be no aliasing in the time domain, the recovered signal. See here, this is x of n, where the length of xn is considered as 0 to 8. And if you consider capital N, that is, if you want to subsample the x of omega with the length n and number of samples in x omega you want to consider is equal to 12, then only it is possible to recover 8 number of samples from xp of n. Otherwise, if you take it equal to 7, you'll observe that this xn and the xp of n sample will overlap, and then you will not be able to recover from xp of n the correct amount of x of n, since the time domain reconstruction will be overlapping with the, if you consider the periodic extension of this xn, the two samples at 7 and 8 will overlap with each other, and due to overlapping, you will get the added amount of samples and the proper reconstruction will not be possible. So it is essential that the length L of the subsequence should be smaller than the length of sampling, capital N. So n should be larger than L, then only proper reconstruction is possible. Otherwise, reconstruction is not feasible. Their aliasing will take place. So length L of xn should be smaller than n the period of xp of n. So x of 2 pi k by n is equal to summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xp of n e raised to minus j 2 pi k by n into n. This is what we observed. See, this is the sampling of x omega of the signal xp of n. So where x of n is equal to xp of n for n varying from 0 to n minus 1. When you write here xn or xp of n, you are considering the samples from 0 to n minus 1, capital N minus 1. So, and the reconstruction from this x of 2 pi k by n, xp of n is equal to 1 by n summation k from 0 to n minus 1 x of 2 pi k by capital N into e raised to j 2 pi k by capital N into small n. Now this xp of n is the periodic signal and extends from minus infinity to plus infinity, and from this xp of n, if you select only 0 to n minus 1 samples, you will be able to recover properly the signal x of n. So the expression obtained by sampling the x omega is called as the discrete Fourier transform. And this expression is used to obtain the discrete Fourier transform of the signal. And this expression used to recover the signal xn from the discrete Fourier transform of the signal. And this is used to find out the inverse discrete Fourier transform. And just rewriting this x of 2 pi k by n by just replacing with xk, because k is the only variable and this 2 pi and capital N, they are in the constant. So instead of representing this x, capital X, by 2 pi k by n, we represent it by or denote this dft by x of k. So the dft of xn, we represent it by xk, and every time instead of writing xp of n, we write here xn. So because xn's discrete Fourier transform we are finding, so here xp of n is replaced by xn, summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xn e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into n. This expression is used to find out the DFT of the signal x of n. This is called as a DFT equation, and the inverse DFT equation is xn is equal to 1 by n summation k from 0 to n minus 1 xk e raised to j 2 pi k by capital N into small n. So these are the two pair of equations used to find out. This equation is used to find out the discrete Fourier transform of the signal, and this equation is find out the inverse discrete Fourier transform, or to recover the signal xn from its DFT. So here important to note that n, the length of the DFT, should be larger than L, the length of the signal xn. If the length of the signal becomes larger than the length of the DFT, then the proper recovery from the IDFT is not feasible because the aliasing takes place in the frequency domain. So computation of DFT is not a new form. It is just by extracting one period of discrete Fourier series coefficients. So for periodic signals x of n, which is periodic in nature for the interval n, we find its discrete Fourier series coefficients, and just extracting the one period of this DFS coefficients is nothing but the DFT. So in this process of finding the DFT or deriving this equation, what we are considering is xn, which is not periodic in nature. Actually is not periodic in nature. It exists for the length L, that is 0 to L minus 1. But what we are considering? We are considering its periodic extension for the interval n, and assume that xn is periodic for the period n, and consider its periodical copies and find the DFS of it. Now for when you take the DFS of such a signal, its Fourier representation as well as its recovery both are discrete in nature, and then it is feasible to process it using the computers. So obtaining the DFT by extracting only one period of this DFS coefficients, we can process it using the processor. So finding the frequency domain signal of non-periodic signal by means of DFT is nothing but extracting one period of a DFS. So remember that DFT is not a new form of Fourier representation. It is acquired by extracting one period of DFS. While finding the DFS, we consider the periodic extension of Xn. We consider the periodic extension of Xn. We make the copies of Xn which is extended for the infinite duration and assume that it is periodic, and then obtain the DFS coefficients of it, and reverse recovery we obtain, and only get one period we extract and perform the operations for only one period, and that one period operation we are denoting it, or we are calling it as discrete Fourier transform. So now onwards, remember this period transform pair of obtaining the discrete Fourier transform. X of k is equal to summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xn into e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into n, where k takes on the values from 0 to n minus 1. And xn is equal to 1 by capital N summation k from 0 to n minus 1 x of k into e raised to j 2 pi k by capital N into small n, where n here takes on the values from 0 to n minus 1. So abbreviation we use it as x of k is equal to DFT of xn, or xn we recover by obtaining IDFT of xk. Now making use of this expression, how to find the discrete Fourier transform of a signal xn. Now xn is, suppose, is equal to 1, 2, 1 and 1. I expect that all of you take the pen and pencil and a paper and perform the operation simultaneously along with me, so that you understand and in a better way and perform the computation your by your own means. So take pen and pencil and write it on a paper that we are finding the DFT of a signal xn, which is equal to 1, 2, 1, 1. Now length of this signal xn is 4. L is equal to 4. So by definition of DFT, xk is equal to summation n from 0 to capital N minus 1 xn e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into small n. Now in this case L is equal to 4. I assume here that n is equal to L. Now we have to take care that L should not be greater than n. You can take it, it is equal to, most feasible is n should be greater than L. If you take equal to also, we will be able to recover it properly. So I am considering in this case n which is equal to L, which is equal to 4. L, the length of this sequence, is 4. So capital N in this case is 4. So in the expression when n is varying from 0 to n minus 1, means that since n is 4, this equation will change with n varying from 0 to 3, and this n is 4. So rewriting the equation as xk is equal to summation n from 0 to 3 xn into e raised to minus j 2 pi k by 4 into n. Now this 2 by 4, this becomes pi kn by 2. So k is taking on the values from 0 to 3, and n is also taking from values from 0 to 3. What you have to do to evaluate this expression is, first you substitute k is equal to 0 and obtain x0 by varying n from 0 to 3. Expand this expression. So first let me substitute k is equal to 0, so I'll be obtaining x0. So when you substitute k is equal to 0 in the equation, this term becomes summation n from 0 to 3 xn e raised to minus j 2 pi into 0 by 4 n. So this, when you substitute here 0, this is equal to 1. So summation becomes n from 0 to 3 xn. Now what is xn? Xn is this 1, 2, 1, 1. N is varying from 0 to 3. When you expand the summation expression, this is equal to x0 plus x1 plus x2 plus x3. x0 plus x1 plus x2 plus x3. And then x0 is 1, x1 is 2, x2 is 1 and x3 is 1. So substituting that in the equation, you get x0 is equal to capital X0 is equal to the small x0 is 1, x1 is 2, x2 is 1, x3 is 1. When you add all these values, it is equal to 5. So capital X0, the first DFT coefficient at k is equal to 0, you get it is equal to 5. This capital X0, that is xk at k is equal to 0, you get it is equal to 5. Now x1 to find in this equation, I substitute first k is equal to 1. We substitute k is equal to 1 here. This is e raised to minus j2 pi by 4 and this is 2 by 4 is pi by 2. So this pi n by 2 you get. And if you expand the summation expression and you go on substituting the values here in this expression as n is equal to 0, you substitute, you get 1. When you substitute n is equal to 1, this x1 into e raised to minus j pi into 1 by 2 you get. So this is e raised to minus j pi by 2 you should get. So this 2 by 4 is pi by 2. So this 2 is x1. So this is from here you get this 2. Then when you substitute in this expression n is equal to 2, this is x2 into the n you substitute here 2. So x2 is 1. So 1 into e raised to minus j 2 pi into 2 by 4. This 2 by 4 is, you can take it this as 2 pi by 2. Again this 2 will get cancelled. So for this term you will get e raised to minus j pi. For this term you will get e raised to minus j pi by 2. And for the last term, when you substitute n is equal to 3, x3 you observe here is 1 and this term becomes e raised to j 2 pi by 4 into 3. This 2 by 4 is pi by 2, so 3 pi by 2. Now see what are, you can use the calculators. Our calculators are allowed to check the values. Now what is the value of e raised to minus pi by 2? What is the value of e raised to minus pi? What is the value of e raised to minus 3 pi by 2? So substitute the values of e raised to minus pi by 2, e raised to minus pi and e raised to minus 3 pi by 2. I hope that you know all that, how to find the values of e raised to pi by 2 or e raised to minus pi or e raised to minus 3 pi by 2. So e raised to minus pi by 2 is minus j, e raised to minus 3 pi by 2 is j and e raised to minus pi is minus 1. So here this minus 1, this 2 into minus j and this is into j. So all this 1 plus 2 into minus j, that is minus 2j, minus 1 and plus j. This minus 1 and this 1 get cancelled and therefore you remain with minus j. So capital X at k is equal to 1, that is xk at k is equal to 1, x1 is equal to minus j that you get. Now next what we do is we substitute k is equal to 2 in the expression and find x2. When I substitute k is equal to 2 here also we will substitute 2 and you get this as e raised to minus j pi n and then n varying from 0 to 3. See here. K is equal to 2 substituted and then summation n is equal to 0 to 3 xn e raised to minus j 2 pi. K is equal to 2 substituted small n by 4. Now this 4 and this 4 will get cancelled. So e raised to minus j pi n. Vary the value of n from 0 to 3 and expand the summation. Expand this variation varying with n varying from 0 to 3. So when you substitute n is equal to 0, this is x0 which is 1, and when this 0, this is 1. So x0 is 1, you get 1. When you substitute n is equal to 1, x1 into e raised to minus j pi. So x1 is 2, so 2 into e raised to minus j pi. When you substitute n is equal to 2, x2 into e raised to minus j2 pi. So x2 is 1, so here e raised to minus j2 pi. So last term you have to substitute n is equal to 3, x3 is 1, e raised to minus j3 pi. Now values of e raised to minus j pi is minus 1, e raised to minus j2 pi is 1, and e raised to minus j3 pi is minus 1. So substituting that values of e raised to minus j pi, e raised to minus j2 pi, and e raised to minus j3 pi, we get the expression as x2 is equal to 1 minus 2 plus 1 minus 1. So it is equal to minus 1. If you perform the addition of all these terms, you get it is equal to minus 1. Now finally we substitute k is equal to 3 to obtain the last value of xk is equal to summation n from 0 to 3 xn into e raised to minus j2 pi by 4 into 3 into n. K is equal to 3 substituted again. And then here you get this is this as 3 pi n by 2. So then n you go and vary as 0, 1, 2, 3 when you substitute 0. So this term becomes 0 and x0 is 1. When you substitute n is equal to 1, 3 pi by 2. So n is equal to 1 when you substitute. Then this becomes 3 into 3 pi by 2. So 6 pi by 4 is nothing but 3 pi by 2. When you substitute n is equal to 2, then it is 6 pi by 4. Here for this you get 6 pi by 4, and last you get 12 pi by 4. So 12 pi by 2. 6 pi by 2 here and 12 pi by 2. And then substituting the values of it, you can check out using the calculators the values of each of these exponential terms, whether these values are correct or not. Now as I said in previous slide that the value of e raised to minus j3 pi by 2 is plus j. This is e raised to minus j3 pi. E raised to minus j3 pi is minus 1, and this is a value of this is minus j. This is 9 pi by 2, and value of this is minus j, and when you have it, this is equal to j. So I say here that the DFT of xn, which is 1, 2, 1, 1, is xk, and xk we obtained is equal to 5 minus j minus 1 and j. This is xk is the DFT of xn. You observe here that the imaginary terms which you gave, they are appearing in the conjugate pairs. So you should give this as a conjugate pairs. That we will study while considering the properties of DFT, how we will give that as a conjugate pairs. This is a direct computation of DFT. Substituting in the expression all the values of n and all the values of k is called as the direct computation of DFT from the expression. And if capital N or the length of the sequence, if it is larger, then performing this direct computation by hand or manual is not an easy task, it is very difficult. And that is why we use processors to perform this task. The inverse DFT can also be performed in a similar way by the direct computation. These expressions are reversed, and in the same way you can proceed ahead with finding the DFT, IDFT from this IDFT coefficients to recover XN. So we have to make use of the expression of IDFT. So consider that we need to find the endpoint DFT of a sequence xn, which is equal to 1, whose length is capital L, and assume that n is larger than or greater to L. Then what is DFT of such a sequence xn, where xn is equal to 1? Now, by definition of DFT, xk is equal to summation n from 0 to n minus 1 xn e raised to minus j2 pi k by capital N into small n. So remember that whatever the xn is given to you, if you are performing the computation by direct computation by expression, at that time what you have to do is you have to go on varying the value of k and substitute xn in this expression of DFT. Now in this case xn is equal to 1, the amplitude of xn for every value of n is equal to 1. So this is 1 here. Amplitude is 1 all over for entire length from 0 to n minus 1. So this xn I can change it with 1 and rewrite this equation as summation n from 0 to L minus 1 e raised to minus j2 pi k by capital N into small n. So why I am writing this equation from 0 to L minus 1 and not from 0 to N minus 1? The sequence xn has amplitude is equal to 1 from 0 to L minus 1, and then from L to N minus 1 amplitude of xn is 0. So instead of varying it from for the entire duration from 0 to n minus 1, I am varying it from 0 to l minus 1, because up to that only xn has amplitude is equal to 1. So summation is varying from 0 to l minus 1 into e raised to minus j2 pi k by capital N into n. Now expressing this expression in closed form of expression, which you have said while doing the finding the DTFT or FT, or even while finding the Z transform, you have obtained the closed form of expression of such finite duration sequences or series. So finite duration sequence, how to obtain the closed form of expression of this? So the closed form of expression of this is the lower limit, upper limit is L minus 1. So this is the exponential term. So lower limit e raised to 0 when you substitute 1, e raised to 0 is 1, and the upper limit plus 1. So L minus 1 plus 1, so you get L here, this e raised to minus j 2 pi k by capital N into L, and divided by 1 minus e raised to minus j 2 pi k by N. Now this is the DFT xk of this sequence xn. Now what I do is, from the second part of this equation, I take out e raised to minus j pi k L by N. Here I have e raised to minus j 2 pi k by L by N. From this I will take out e raised to minus j pi k by L, so that here the first term I get another term e raised to j plus pi k by N into L, when I am taking e raised to minus j pi k. So you observe here, when I multiply inside with the same term, you will remain it with here with 1. Why I am doing this? To convert this numerator exponential term into a sinusoidal form. The half of this second term I am taking it outside. Similarly doing it for the denominator. I am taking it out from this e raised to minus j pi k by capital N. Now we observe to both this numerator and denominator, if I divide by 2j, this is sinusoidal term. So for the numerator you will get sine of pi k capital L by N, and the denominator you get sine pi k by capital N. So rewriting this xk as equal to e raised to minus j pi k by N into L minus 1. How this L? This L and this denominator's 1, you get here this as L minus 1. For the numerator this term you get sine pi k by capital N into L, and for denominator you get sine pi k by N. Now this is the DFT of the signal xn, which is equal to 1. Xn is equal to 1. The DFT coefficients xk, where k will be varying from 0 to n minus 1. let me take next example. An analog signal is suppose sampled at 10 kilohertz and the DFT of 512 point is computed, then determine the frequency spacing between the spectral samples of DFT. Analog signal is sampled at 10 kilohertz and the DFT of 512 point is computed. Then determine the frequency spacing between the spectral samples of DFT. I have an analog signal x of t which is sampled with the sampling frequency of 10 kilohertz. Now how do we sample xt with the sampling frequency 10 kilohertz? How we convert xt to xn? So go back, revise, and from the signal science system, how you sample xt to get xn. So given the sampling frequency fs is equal to 10 kilohertz, so the sampling period capital T will be equal to 0.1 milliseconds. And we know that from xt to often xn, we replace t with n into capital T. T is sampling period. So xn t then becomes t is replaced with nt where t is 0.1 millisecond. Now by DFT expression where xn is equal to summation n from 0 to capital N minus 1 xn into e raised to minus j 2 pi n k by capital N. For capital N, we are considering the DFT for 512 points. So the capital N is equal to 512 and n minus 1 becomes 511. So in the DFT equation, we are finding the DFT of sample signal. So sampled analog signal. Sampled analog signal is this. This signal's DFT we are finding. For how many points? 512 points. So n varying from 0 to 511. So summation n from 0 to 511 x and t e raised to minus j2 pi n t k by 512. E raised to minus j2 pi n t k by 512. This small t is nt here. Now, this is, if you just recall what I have just derived the expression for while deriving the expression of DFT from FT, x is equal to 2 pi k by capital N. And here when I compare that with this equation, this is nothing but t is 0.1 milliseconds. When t is 0.1 milliseconds can be written as, if you take it to denominator, it is 10 into 10 raised to 3. So this is in the form of t, you can replace it with 1 by f, x of n by f, e raised to minus j2 pi n k by 512 f, and then this is x of 2 pi k by this 512 into 10 into 10 raised to 3. Sampling period f is 10 into 10 raised to 3. Now what is the spacing between each of the sample? Each of the sample spacing is 2 pi by n that we have seen. So the spacing between each of the sample is this spacing. So omega k in this case you observe is 2 pi k by 512 into 10 raised to 3. So the spacing between each of the frequency component is 2 pi by 512 into 10 raised to 3. This is the spacing. Generally we do not denote this 10 into 10 raised to 3 because we assume that with that spacing we have sampled. Now, but exact spacing, if you want to know, likewise you can find the exact frequency spacing between each frequency component. This is exact frequency spacing between each of the frequency components. This is how you find out. So I hope that if you have got it, if you have not got it, you can just ask it, you can message me so we can revise this in the next class. While joining the other people's during the next class, we can just revise this. I was supposed to find the DFT of this one more signal x of n, but due to shortage of time for this class, may not be continuing with this. You try to find it based on whatever I have just explained to you. If it is possible, it is well, otherwise we'll continue it in the next class. I hope that you have understood whatever I have.